Welcome to The Explainer. For decades, the main terror threat to India has, well, it's pretty much always come from one direction. But today, we're diving into source material that alleges a new, coordinated terror axis is opening up a completely different front from a direction that almost no one was watching. Let's break down how this all allegedly went down. All right, so according to the source material, our story kicks off right here on November 10th, 2025, near the historic Red Fort in Delhi. And this isn't just any old spot, it's really the symbolic heart of the Indian capital. And it's here that something happens that triggers a massive, massive investigation. A car bomb, it explodes in this high security zone, and in the immediate aftermath, you can just imagine the chaos. But for investigators, that chaos quickly sharpened into one single urgent question. Who did this, and how on earth did they pull it off? The answer, as they would allegedly discover, pointed way, way beyond India's borders. The really shocking part is that according to the reports we're examining, there were actually public warnings just days before the attack. It's almost like the clues were hiding in plain sight the whole time. Okay, check this out. This is a direct quote from the source, and it's attributed to a Lashkar-e-Tayyiba commander, a guy named Saifullah Saif. Just 10 days before the Delhi bombing, he allegedly stands up in Pakistan and makes this public boast, explicitly saying they're using Bangladesh to launch attacks against India. I mean, talk about a bold statement. And get this, the warning didn't just come from a terror group. The source alleges that there were two parallel threats going on. So on one hand, you have the militant commander's public claim, but on the other, a similar warning reportedly came from a Pakistani army spokesperson who allegedly said the next attack would come from the east. What the material is suggesting here is a potential and very concerning alignment of goals. So the investigation, it didn't just stop at these public statements. The reports say investigators followed the breadcrumbs, and those breadcrumbs allegedly led them all the way back to a secret meeting in Dhaka, the capital of Bangladesh. This was supposedly the nerve center, the place where the final nuts and bolts of the attack were hammered out. And a look at who was supposedly at this meeting, well, it tells you everything you need to know about this alleged new network. You've got Saifullah Saif, the commander from Pakistan, sitting right there with a local explosives expert. And just as important, you have reps from local extremist groups, Hizb-ut-Tahrir and Ansarullah Bangla Team, who can provide that critical on-the-ground support. Now, here's the really controversial part. The source also names two government-linked officials, though it is crucial to point out the material itself states their involvement is still unverified. Right, so we're not talking about some big conference here. This was a small, super focused cell, just 7 people, according to the source, who allegedly gathered in a district of Dhaka to iron out the final details of this huge transnational plot. It really highlights that lean, cellular structure. So how do you get from a quiet meeting in a room in Dhaka to a massive explosion in Delhi? Let's walk through the alleged path of this cross-border operation. The reports lay out this really clear 4-step flow. First, the plan. The direction allegedly comes from Pakistan. Second, prepare. That's the meeting in Dhaka to finalize all the logistics. Third, infiltrate. The operatives crossed from Bangladesh into West Bengal, India. And finally, fourth, attack. The team carries out the bombing in the capital. I mean, if you were to draw up a blueprint for a transnational operation, this is pretty much it. And the details get even more granular. The team allegedly crossed into India, used a safe house provided by a local contact. The source also claims that explosives were smuggled along this very same eastern route. And here's where it gets really interesting. Once they were inside India, a so-called white-collar network, we're talking sympathizers in professional jobs like doctors, reportedly helped them out. This really shows just how deep the layers of support allegedly went. Okay, let's zoom out for a second. Beyond the details of this one specific attack, what's the big picture takeaway here? Why are these reports treating this as such a major, game-changing event? Well, for decades, India's counterterrorism world has been laser-focused on its heavily fortified western border with Pakistan. That's where the threat was. The core argument in these reports is that this whole incident signals a huge strategic shift. It's the opening of an entirely new front, one that uses the much more porous eastern border with Bangladesh as a launchpad. And that brings us to this central phrase used in the source material, the Pak-Bangladesh axis. It's defined here as a strategic partnership. Think of it like this. You've got the leadership and the high-level direction coming from established groups in Pakistan, combined with the absolutely essential on-the-ground logistics, the safe houses, the people, provided by extremist networks inside Bangladesh. And this slide really breaks down who the alleged players are in this axis. You have the big transnational group, LET, providing that top-down direction from Pakistan. And then you've got local Bangladeshi groups like ABT and HUT providing the essential ground game. It's this type of collaboration, this mix, that can create a network that's more resilient, more adaptable, and frankly, a lot harder for security forces to take down. So, we're left with this final and pretty crucial question. Was the Delhi bombing just a one-off event? Or does it represent a new, more complex and sustainable playbook for terrorism in South Asia? According to the source material we've just gone through, this strategic shift to the east could fundamentally change the security dynamics of the entire region for years to come.